sea serpent frolicking under the Golden Gate Bridge? Twins Bill and Bob Clark think so. They shot these startling images in January of 2004.
Now, how many times have you seen it altogether?
Well, we've seen it 9 times now. We saw it 8 times between 1985 and 1987, and then the recent sighting in January, which we took the video at.
Now, Bob, you've been with your brother Bill on every single one of your 9 encounters. How would you describe the creature?
Well, I describe the creature as a huge telephone pole floating through the water. The upper neck, if you saw it floating, if it didn't move, it would look like just a regular big old black telephone pole. The first time I saw the face really good, it was looking at me straight on, and I could see these 2 huge nostrils. They had to be the size of a man's fist, and it looked like a double-barreled shotgun looking at me. It had huge black nostrils. There were these eyebrow ridges over the eyes. The eyes were set behind it as a brow where the eyes are, and then it has a slightly elongated snout. The head itself was dark black, and the whole upper neck was black, but as it went around the sides, the color gradually changed from a dark black to like a mossy green, then a grassy green, and then a yellow green. The first sighting I had was the best sighting, and it was amazing because it actually beached in front of us only about 20 yards away, and in the process it rolled over, and as it unrolled, these flipper-like fins unfolded like a fan, and each one of them had so much cartilage in between, like spikes. It wasn't a flipper for propulsion, and as it rolled over and dropped into the water, it seemed to spread these out like a stabilizing fashion until it could reorientate itself, and then it slowly moved off the rocks. The whole animal is probably over 100 feet long.
Did you see how it was actually moving through the water?
It actually created these vertical undulations, very similar to ribbon candy, if you can imagine folds in the body. And the animal was whipping its head and its neck as fast as you could see it, and would create these packets of 4 folds that would move down the length of the body like a piston in a car. I think that's where it gets all this power from. When I saw the scales, the larger green scales, it just reflected like a reptile, and it had this vicious these movements to it that were very snake-like, but I don't think it's a snake. It did look snake-like, but my own personal feeling is this is a totally unknown classification of animals.
A 100-foot sea serpent with scales? It sounds incredible. Daniel and Natalie are dying to check out these waters for themselves.
The Clarks are convinced that there's an unidentified sea creature coming into San Francisco Bay, and it's following the schools of herring that come into the bay this time of year.
The vision is quite compelling, so we're going to see what we come up with by taking a look 25 feet below.
Good morning,
Mark.
Natalie.
How you doing?
Daniel.
How are you, mate? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, cool.
What's the weather been like over the past few days?
Well, it's been rainy and stormy, and the rivers have brought down a lot of nutrients from down through the marshes, and created a lot of nutrient-rich waters here in the bay, and that brings in the fish. And so the visibility shouldn't be too good.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. That way? Can you see anything?
No, not really.
Can't see a thing!
Yeah, it's pretty silky. You can't see anything at all.
The visibility is terrible. A giant serpent or a shark could be circling the team right now. And they'd have absolutely no idea. I think it's time to call an end to this dangerous mission.
I don't think I've ever been in murkier water.
Not one fish.
No, they're probably out there, you just can't see them. Big sturgeon.
Schools of striped bass there's supposed to be.
No.
Seals, whales, sea monsters. We're probably totally surrounded by all these big fish and we can't see them. Sharks.
Wouldn't surprise me. It's probably a good thing though.
I'm glad I didn't see the sharks. But I would have liked to have seen a few schools of fish just to get an idea of what's out there.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's much chance of that at all.